back to In the Alley. My name is Cody. Glad you guys are back for another video. We got the final game to preview in round one of the playoffs. Get to figure out who's taking on the Arizona Rattlers as they had a 1-point victory last night. Very fun game. Go watch it if you haven't had the opportunity to. I'll have the recap for that out here shortly. This game, though, it's the Roy Choi Bowl, Part 5. Let's go into the preview here. Sunday, July 28th. That is today, 6:05 p.m. Central Time on Stadium's YouTube channel. Don't go to the Indoor Football League page. Go to Stadium Sports on YouTube or just Stadium. Look it up, and you should be able to find their channel. The game should be on there, unless it's not, and then you have to go to the Arizona Rattlers Instagram page and see if they have it live on there, and then eventually it gets put on the Indoor Football League's page, and then there's just a whole kerfuffle of where the game is streaming. So go to YouTube Stadium first, and then maybe the Indoor Football League page if that doesn't work, but hopefully, fingers crossed, the stream is fine this time. Live from the SAP Center in San Jose, California, we've got the number 4 San Diego Strike Force 10-6 taking on the number 1 Bay Area Panthers, who are 13-3. Now, this is a fun game. As I mentioned earlier, these teams have already met 4 times this year, and they just met last week. So very, very fond of each other, that seems. Let's take a look at our statistical leaders for both teams. Nate Davis, Rudy Johnson, Jordan Kress in the passing, rushing, and receiving for San Diego. Jaquan Artis, Sherrod Williams, and Atoa Fox are your leading tacklers on the defensive side for the Strike Force. For Bay Area, DeQuan Neal leads in passing and rushing, and then JT Stokes leads in receiving. On the defensive side, you've got Daytona Jackson, BJ Tafalele, and Antoine Kincaid are your leading tacklers for the Panthers defensively. Again, if you haven't seen any previews that I've put out here, and this is your first time watching or first preview or whatever, I normally do a player to watch segment here. I'm ixnaying that for the playoffs to go look at the statistics, or maybe just this round and then see who had good, first round of the playoffs, and if they're going to get hot. Time for another time for that. Anyway, statistics here of how good these teams were throughout the season. Might be tough to read. I understand that if you're on a phone or something like that. So I'm going to try and speak it out, see if we can find something here. Looking at total offense, both these teams kind of average. San Diego, you wouldn't believe it, but their total offense in terms of yards was only 9th in the league. Now, when you look at their rushing stats, it's kind of more believable, but they threw the ball quite a bit, as Nate Davis always does. 6th best offense for Bay Area. They just chug along, man. They're very, very middle of the pack when it comes to stuff, but they get things done. Defense, we've got 2 of the best defenses in the league right now, both in the top 5. San Diego is 3rd in terms of yards allowed, and Bay Area is 4th. So the defense is really, really good here, and it kind of shows when you see the scores that they've played against each other. Rushing offense, both teams, 14th for San Diego. They're not last, but still not good. They have not even rushed for 1,000 yards this season. Meanwhile, on the flip side, Bay Area, 3rd best offense when it comes to rushing. Rushing defense, both these teams very good at stopping the run here. 6th best, pretty middle of the pack here for San Diego. So 6th best for San Diego and 4th best for Bay Area. So both these teams are really good at stopping the run. Granted, Bay Area is going up against a team who doesn't really like to run the ball. So can you stop them from throwing the ball and lock them down and force them to run the ball? I don't think so, but we'll see. Let's go passing offense here. This is where things kind of flip-flop. San Diego, the 3rd best passing offense in the league. Bay Area, 12th. So again, you have a flip-flop of these teams. San Diego, air raid, throwing it all the time, runs it when they just kind of absolutely have to, or kind of an off-guard thing. Bay Area, not great throwing the ball. They run, and they do set up the pass. They will take deep shots on you. Dixie Wooten is known to kind of draw up these passes that they will just take a 30-yard bomb into the end zone. We'll see how many they throw today. Passing defense, again, both these teams very good. San Diego, 2nd best passing defense, which doesn't necessarily help them when Bay Area doesn't throw the ball a lot. On the flip side, the 7th best passing defense for Bay Area, for the 3rd best passing offense for San Diego. We'll see if there's any give or take in that. Going to 3rd down conversions, 9th for San Diego, 7th for Bay Area, middle of the pack there, so sometimes they convert, sometimes they don't. They're a little below 50%, so we'll see what happens. 4th down conversions, a little Little difference here, 9th for San Diego, 3rd for Bay Area. So Bay Area is actually pretty good on 4th downs when they have to go for it. Red zone conversions, another big difference here. San Diego, 8th. They only converted 84% of the time, and then 86% of the time. It's not too much of a difference, but still 4th place for Bay Area throughout the season. Penalties, San Diego, one of the most penalized teams. They're 13th. They almost have 1,000 yards when it comes to penalties, and they do get penalized quite a bit, 129 flags thrown. On the flip side, Bay Area, not so much, only 800 yards, 5th best in the league, only 102 penalties. Taking a look at the 2024 series here, I normally have the entire series history. We're just taking a look at 2024 because they've played a lot. Bay Area leads 3-1 in the series this season, with the lone victory for San Diego coming in week 14. Now, if you look at these scores, however, every game has been 10 points or less. And even when you look at last week, that 30-20 victory, they didn't even have their starting quarterbacks in. When you look at the other games, it's been 1 point, 1 point, and 3 points. So we've got a game here that's going to be very, very close. You started your backups last week, and we'll talk about that in the rosters and stuff like that. But you started your backups last week as kind of a, we've both clinched playoff spots. Let's see how we're going to do. Bay Area had already clinched up the 1 seed, so it makes kind of sense to go where you are from there. Bay Area favored by 5 points at home, so maybe that gives the home field advantage a little bit of an edge there. Money line minus 192 in favor of the Panthers, and an over-under of 86.5. So calling for kind of a defensive game here and a close victory for Bay Area. Let's go see what else we can figure out when it comes to injuries, rosters, and everything in the preview. All right, injury report popping up here for San Diego. Dexter Reese has been put on season injured reserve, so that is a little bit of a blow to the defensive secondary for the Strike Force. And then nothing really has changed when it comes to short-term injured reserve. Isaac Crocker has been put on there as of, I think, last week. So everything else kind of stays the same for the Strike Force. For Bay Area, they do get LaQuinston Sharp off of short-term injured reserve, but unfortunately they do add Bill Atkins on there. Now, Atkins has been kind of a special teams guy, so not too big of a loss. I mean, he did start a couple of games, but at the same time, you've seen Bay Area secondary. It is loaded. So I think having Bill Atkins on short-term injured reserve doesn't really move the needle in terms of, oh my God, this is huge. Still sucks he's injured. You don't want anyone to be injured. Sucks that this is a huge injury report for both teams, but just kind of the cards you're dealt when you've played 16 games already. So let's go take a look at the 25-man roster, our bet, prediction, and we'll get on out of here. All right, 25-man rosters here for both sides. For the away side, let's take a look at the offense for San Diego. The offensive line will be your 3 guys right there, more than likely. I think they've started the bulk of the season for the Strike Force here. When you look at the skill positions, they have signed Tyler Kennedy. He has spent some time on injured reserve for them early on in the season. Eventually, I think he got released. He's got signed back, which makes you believe, is there something going on with the wide receiving core? Since Isaac Crocker got hurt, they're normally going to run with Arthur Jackson, Isaiah Cox, Jordan Kress, and Elijah Lilly. Lilly is normally your return man, so I don't know if it's just more of a depth piece. Rudy Johnson is more than likely going to slide back into that running back, wide receiver, slot guy, catching passes out of the backfield, things along those lines. And Nate Davis, after taking a week off, most likely going to be your starter. 99% sure, unless there's something catastrophic that happens. Davis will probably be your starter at quarterback. Defensively for San Diego, lately they've been running with Byron Cooper, Jaquan Artis, and they kind of cycle back and forth. VJ Mallow's kind of been on the bench. Davida Mwanga has gotten the start a couple of times. They just get Javian Williams off of injured reserve here, so they do have quite a bit of depth at the defensive line position. They normally run 2 defensive linemen. Actually, they have lately with VJ Mallow, Ben Moa, or Tavita Mwanga kind of on the bench as depth pieces. They do like to cycle in that defensive line quite a bit. We'll see if it's more of the same here. Sherrod Williams will most likely be your starting linebacker unless they push him back to defensive secondary. Brandon Wellington, who just got signed, I believe this week or maybe last week, we'll see if he gets into the game at all, because the secondary only has 4 guys with Walker, Brown, Fox, and Bell. I haven't seen anything different. I haven't checked the transactions page in a day, so if there is something different, I didn't catch it. So that's kind of what we have here for the Panthers. Daquan Neal also got the week off last week. He's most likely your presumed starter. Felix Harper has filled in throughout the season pretty well, pretty admirably. You'll see Shane Simpson, maybe Ben Jones. I know Ben Jones played last week as well, so we'll see who gets the start at the running back. They've kind of switched back and forth every now and again, but Simpson is your every down back here. Wide receivers, you're probably going to run with all of them: Stokes, Peterson, Williams, and Haley. Offensive line, as I mentioned, LaQuinston Sharp is off injured reserve, but we'll see if he gets the start. Weldon, Kyle Davis, Amari Catchings, they've all done pretty well. Defensive line, you'll probably see Tavon Grant, Daytona Jackson, Jonathan Ross, and then maybe EJ Anai or Morris Joseph on the bench. We'll see. BJ Tafalele, your linebacker, and then just take your pick out of the secondary. Tyler Watson, Joe Fouché, Antoine Kincaid will probably be your starters, and then it's between Northington or Cromwell, or maybe even Trey Meadows, who they just signed this past week to be that kind of fourth secondary guy. We'll see how it goes, man. And then obviously Connor Mangan, Craig Peterson, you got to look out for the drop kicks for Mangan, and if those 2-point plays really play a factor here. So with that being said, there's your 25-man rosters. So take a look at our bet, our prediction. We'll get on out of here. All right, best bet, -5. I think Bay Area is just a little bit better of a team now. They've all played close this entire season. Like I said, last week was the largest margin of victory, which is just 10 points. So -5, it's almost tempting to take the +5 for San Diego. I think Bay Area is just a complete team. I have commented on forums. I think this is the team to beat. They have a very, very good opportunity to repeat. If they advance in this one, it doesn't get any easier for them. But I do think they advance in this one. They have a home game. They get to play in front of their home fans and things like that. You just beat this team. You have a 3-1 advantage. Can you make it 4? I know, odds kind of say no, not necessarily. So San Diego can pull the upset here. Question is, do they have the talent to do it? They've done it only once this season. Can they do it again? And I think it comes down to Nate Davis playing the game of his life. The wide receivers have to get open and things along those lines. We'll talk more about it here in a second, but I just think Bay Area is more of a complete team. I think they win it by a touchdown. I got -5 for the Panthers. Let's go expand on those thoughts with our prediction. All right, prediction 48-40. Like I said, it's about a touchdown victory for Bay Area, and I'm going to lean back here and relax because my back hurts. But I don't know. I just think Bay Area is more of a complete team. I think they are a team that can repeat as a national champion. San Diego, I think, has to play a perfect game to upset Bay Area. And then, we're just previewing this game, but again, the road doesn't get any easier for San Diego or Bay Area, whoever wins this game. For San Diego to pull this upset, you need the wide receivers to play well. You need another Arthur Jackson, 10 catches, 100-plus yards, and what do you have, 5 touchdowns or 7 touchdowns or something like that? I can't remember that big stat line he had a few weeks ago, but he needs to have a game like that. You need Rudy Johnson being able to run the ball really effectively and kind of keep Bay Area on their toes. We know what both these teams are capable of doing. One likes to run the ball, one likes to throw the ball. Are you more likely to shut down the run? You kind of shut it down with only 30 points last week, but you only scored 20 yourself. So if San Diego can replicate that, but have their quarterback come in and toss a couple more touchdowns and kind of, pull that upset, it can happen. I don't personally see it. I will not be shocked if San Diego pulls an upset. I will tell you that right now. I will not be shocked. I wasn't shocked when Arizona was. When Arizona pulled their upset. I wasn't shocked when Massachusetts did. I'm not shocked if San Diego pulls the upset. I just don't personally see it. I think Bay Area is going to do something here where they get some sort of late 4th down, like turnover on downs, where San Diego has to go for it. They can't convert. Bay Area is able to kind of go up from a tie to kind of this 48-40 score, something like that, and that's how they win it. They're able to just have their defense come through at the right time. And I can also see it on the other side as well. But I think Bay Area is just a little bit more of a complete team. I like what their defense is capable of doing. If they shut down the passing game, I think it's game over. yeah, you can shut down the running game for Bay Area, but they can still pass it. We've seen that San Diego just cannot really run the ball, and I think that's a detriment. If you're able to shut down San Diego's passing game, it's almost curtains for them. Meanwhile, you still have that ability to pass the ball if you are Bay Area. So, I don't know. I'm curious to see how it goes. I've got my prediction here. I've got my bet and my thoughts, which I just shared. So, hear your thoughts, comments, likes, subscribes, all of that stuff. That's it. That's the preview. Everything included, rosters, injury reports, and things along those lines. We got a couple hours until kickoff, so appreciate you guys watching this on such a short notice. Until then, I'm going to sign off here. I hope the stream works. I hope the stream works. I hope it does. But yeah, we'll go from there. I'm really curious to see who advances to take on Arizona, and we get geared up for the conference championships. So, with that being said, taking off here. Love and appreciate you guys as always. See ya.